money.
You with him?
Oh, yeah, we do.
He was waiting in my house when I got.
What are you guys talking about?
Football.
Give me another shot, will you?
That's the 10 grand that you wanted.
This 10 grand.
Yeah.
You know what I think? We should look in the safe too.
Sure you did.
Solamente Mateo.
The film begins by introducing a specific type of establishment known as a drop bar. While these appear to be ordinary neighborhood bars, they actually serve as secure venues where mobsters launder illicit money. Money flows in and out of these locations continually, and bagmen are responsible for transporting the cash to its final destination. For security reasons, the bar owners themselves are never told when their specific establishment will be used as a drop bar on any given night. The story focuses on a bartender named Bob Saginowski, who works at a Brooklyn bar called Cousin Marv's. Bob is a reserved and quiet individual, but he possesses a hidden history and a potential for violence beneath his mild exterior. The bar is managed by his cousin Marv, though it is actually owned by the Chechen Mafia. Marv is a cynical man who frequently berates Bob for his kindness toward patrons, such as allowing an elderly woman to drink for free. One evening while walking home, Bob hears whimpering coming from a neighbor's garbage can. Upon investigating, he finds a severely injured pit bull puppy that has been left to die. The homeowner, a woman named Nadia, confronts him while he is snooping on her property. After Bob explains the situation, they take the dog inside to tend to its wounds. Bob notices bruises on Nadia's neck during their conversation, and they eventually agree that Nadia will care for the dog temporarily until Bob can reclaim it. Meanwhile, two men plot to rob Marv's bar. The elder brother is confident, while the younger brother is terrified because he knows the bar is operated by the Chechen Mafia. Despite these fears, they move forward with the plan. Shortly before closing time, the masked robbers enter the bar and brandish guns. They order Marv to fill a bag with money. During the heist, Bob quietly notices that one of the robbers is wearing a broken watch. After the thieves flee, the staff discovers that another employee, Randy, has been fatally beaten in the backyard. Detective Torres arrives to investigate the crime. He recognizes Bob from the church they both attend, though they have never spoken. Bob provides the detective with the detail about the broken watch, which stopped at 6:15. It is revealed that approximately $5,000 was stolen during the robbery, but this minor robbery is about to draw the attention of much more dangerous people. Marv becomes furious when he learns that Bob shared the detail about the broken watch with the police. He fears that involving the authorities will draw unwanted attention from the Chechen Mafia, who own the establishment. Shortly after, Bob retrieves the puppy from Nadia and decides to name him Rocco. While Bob and Nadia are out buying pet supplies, they are watched from a distance by a man named Eric Deed. The situation at the bar escalates when Chavka, the Chechen Mafia boss, arrives to speak with Marv and Bob. He shows them one of the robbers who has been captured and brutally tortured. Chavka questions why the police were informed about the broken watch and orders Marv to retrieve the stolen money. Marv feels his life is in danger because he cannot easily explain how he would find the money without admitting he was involved in the heist. Detective Torres continues his investigation and discovers that Marv actually lost ownership of his bar to the Chechens 10 years prior. Meanwhile, Bob begins spending more time with Nadia, who offers to look after Rocco while Bob is at work. During a walk in the park, Eric Deeds approaches Bob and makes a comment about the dog, which makes Bob suspicious of his intention. At home, Marv argues with his sister Dottie about their father's medical bill. Dottie suggests taking their father off life support to save money, but Marv refuses. It is eventually revealed that Marv was indeed involved in the bar robbery, as he meets secretly with the remaining robber, Fitz. Marv berates Fitz for his brother's mistake and tells him that the bar will soon be a drop bar for the Super Bowl, suggesting another heist. But Bob is about to discover that Eric Deeds has a much more personal connection to his new dog. One afternoon, Eric Deeds rudely enters Bob's home and claims ownership of the puppy. He proves he knows the dog by providing a security chip serial number and explains that he was the one who originally beat the animal and left it in the trash. Deeds threatens to involve the police if Bob does not return the dog. Bob refuses to give up Rocco, leading Deeds to take Bob's umbrella and leave while making vague threats. Bob continues to bond with Nadia, who reveals the truth behind the scars on her neck. She explains that during a drug-induced episode in her past, she attempted to take her own life with a potato peeler. Bob does not judge her, which strengthens their relationship. Back at the bar, Marv becomes increasingly paranoid after being followed by a stranger, fearing the Chechens are closing in on him. One morning, Bob finds a trash bag at the back of the bar containing the stolen $5,000 and a severed human hand wearing a broken watch. Bob calmly wraps the hand while Marv looks on, surprised by how professionally Bob handles the situation. Marv identifies Eric Deeds as a local thug and warns Bob that Deeds claims to have murdered a man named Richie Whelan years ago. Bob remains unfazed and disposes of the severed limb in the river. The Chechen mob boss, Chavka, visits the bar to collect the returned money. He informs Bob and Marv that their establishment will be the official drop bar on the night of the Super Bowl. Meanwhile, Marv meets with the robber Fitz to discuss a second heist for that night. However, Fitz is too terrified to participate and tries to back out. But Marv is determined to see his plan through, regardless of who gets in his way. Marv pulls over his car and orders Fitz to get out and close the trunk. As Fitz nervously complies, Marv repeatedly runs him over with the vehicle, killing him instantly. Marv then abandons the scene and switches cars to avoid detection. Later, Bob and Nadia reconcile after she confesses that she used to date Eric Deeds. She warns Bob that Deeds is a dangerous man who supposedly murdered Richie Whelan. Marv meets with Deeds in a diner and lies to him, claiming that Bob is terrified. Marv's actual plan is to use Deeds to rob the bar on Super Bowl night, hoping the distraction will allow Marv to reclaim his status and money. Meanwhile, Detective Torres obtains Deeds' psychiatric file and discovers information that heightens his suspicion. Bob returns home to find his umbrella has been returned, signaling that Deeds has been inside his house again. Deeds confronts Bob and demands $10,000 for Bob to keep the dog Rocco. He threatens to tell the police that Bob stole and beat the dog if the money isn't paid. Shortly before the Super Bowl, Marv tells Bob he will be calling out sick that night. Bob becomes suspicious and asks Marv if he is planning something that they will not be able to clean up. On the night of the Super Bowl, Bob brings Rocco to the bar and hides $10,000 along with a pistol behind the counter. Meanwhile, Deeds breaks into Nadia's home and forces her to go to the bar with him. Marv stays in his car nearby, having lined his trunk with plastic in anticipation of the night's outcome. As the night progresses, various mobster groups arrive to drop off large sums of cash. But as the bar empties, as the Super Bowl concludes, the bar clears out until only Eric Deeds and Nadia remain. Deeds reveals his firearm and forces Nadia to stay, while she tearfully warns Bob that Deeds intends to kill him. Deeds refuses Bob's offer of $10,000 to settle the matter of the dog, and instead demands that Bob open the safe during a specific 90-second window at 2 a.m. While they wait for the safe to become accessible, Bob begins to narrate the true story of Richie Whelan. He explains that 10 years ago, Marv was a loan shark, and Whelan owed him a significant amount of money. After Whelan won a casino jackpot and paid Marv back, Marv still had his own debts to the Chechen. To hide the fact that he had been paid and to keep the money for himself, Bob shot Whelan twice in the face and disposed of the body. Bob reveals that Deeds is a fraud who took credit for a murder he did not commit. As Deeds reacts to this revelation, Bob suddenly pulls his hidden pistol and shoots Deeds twice in the face, killing him instantly. Bob tells a traumatized Nadia that she is safe and allows her to leave the bar. Soon after, the Chechens arrive to collect the drop money and dispose of Deeds' body. Chavka informs Bob that they were aware of Marv's plan to rob them and have already handled the situation. Outside, the stranger who had previously asked Marv for directions executes Marv in his car. Because Bob remained loyal and secured the money, Chavka gives him full ownership of the bar, which is renamed Bob's Bar. In the following days, Detective Torres visits the bar and informs Bob that Deeds was actually in a psychiatric ward at the time of Richie Whelan's murder. Torres strongly implies he knows Bob is responsible for both Whelan's death and Deeds' disappearance, but he makes no arrest. Finally, Bob visits Nadia's house with Rocco to apologize and see if she is willing to see him again. Nadia hesitates, but ultimately agrees to go for a walk with him.